So I made this video and it there was no sound, so I'm trying again. I'm sorry if it doesn't make the 11:59 deadline, but it should by the time I upload it to YouTube and stuff. Anyways, so yeah, I really enjoyed this class. I learned a lot. I'm like just coming into this education field. I didn't study it in undergrad or anything. I studied Spanish, and we talked about linguistics a lot. Well, I mean, I studied linguistics, so yeah. So like all these new terms are very new for me. Like human capital and social capital. I know them. Like obviously, I know what democracy is, but like speaking of them in realms of education, is very new to me. So like I learned a lot from everyone in the class. Like I feel like especially like I don't know, just everyone has a lot of like great perspective and they were like so able to like explain all of these texts that I maybe couldn't relate to as well or like couldn't find like the connections. And so I really appreciated that aspect of it. Um, I want to say that Amy Gutman's piece was really helpful as well in like understanding those terms. And also talking about like the democratic state versus the family state and or the state of the families, I think was one of them, and like why the democratic state is the what's going to make the education system like the most functional, versus if you just chose it like from a family state or from needing like all of those components for the education system to work properly. And it was funny that I was trying to like explain like my views to someone back home, and we started talking about like living in LA and like the LA Unified School District, because this person really wanted to live in LA, and I was like, yeah, but like their school district is like not that great, and like you want to find somewhere to live um, where the school is the best. And we talked about this last week when we were watching the video. Like that's what you think about when you move to a house. Like, oh, is the school district going to be good? And this person gave me like an interesting perspective, and I was able to like talk about the class with him and stuff like that. And he's like, yeah, I mean the school district is important. Yeah, however, I think that it's my job to provide the best education that I can for my kid. And it definitely goes back to what I think, Christian, you said that there was someone who's going to homeschool their kids because, um, they felt like they were the ones that were going to give the best education to them. And he was in like the capacity to be able to do that. And I think that's what my friend was saying was like, regardless of what they learn at school, like I'm going to make sure that they're learning as much as they can and that they're always advancing and, like making sure that they're reading all the varieties of books and just really like putting their best effort forward. And like if there are things that I can personally teach them and I know that they're not getting at school, like I'm going to do so. And I was like, that's a really great perspective. And he's like, because regardless if a school is like good or bad, your child is still gaining like something like social capital or just like their like yeah, he was mostly talking about social capital. And I was like, wow, that's interesting. We just started talking about this in class too. And I didn't really like know how you got your, like, I didn't really think about the fact that most of our like social capital comes from like being at school because that's where we are most of the time. And he was like, yeah, good or bad, like they're gonna learn some things, like their networking, their like social skills and their just mannerisms and whatever. Like, so it's not going to be 100% bad if they are in a bad school district. And so that also made me think of the question that Christian has been proposing to us, like, is it a right for nations to provide free public education? And I really don't know if it is, like, if yes, like they're required to, but I know that if they don't, or an education that's equitable and that's fair and that's like right, you know what I mean? I feel like if they're not, it's still up to us to provide that education for our kids. And how I will apply like things that I've learned in this class to my work is just, because I want to study education policy, really making sure that I'm thinking about the student, when I'm making those decisions, like not doing things hastily, like how I learned from my case study on Ethiopia, and really including all parties, talking to the community, about how they feel, like because they are part of of that as well, you know, like parents and how their kids are going to be affected, being able to like relay the message to their kids, like, okay, this is happening, this policy, this initiative is happening because, or, you know, whatever. And then talking to principals, talking to teachers, because they're the ones who are providing the education for students. And so I will always remember that community engagement is really important, and that yeah, and that's how I will apply it to my work. But I want to say that I like really enjoyed this class, and I'm now going to be taking an education policy class in the fall, and just to like further my knowledge. Definitely going to be continuing to take a look at other countries and like how their systems are working, because I think that a lot of countries have it right. You know, they're doing like a really great job. Like Singapore, I know, is like does really great, and they have this like language policy system where they have to speak like 4 languages, and they're still like getting a great education. And so I'm like, look, America, United States, we can do this. Like, it's not impossible. We see it in other countries. We just need to get, you know, be on the same page. So thank you.